Hello again, it's BDBSSB. We're going to do a little bit of another small walkthrough here today. When I did a video the other day on these tankers, I had a little building setting over here and I want to show how that's done. It's using an awesome script by GTX and Farmer Andy. For more details on that, try to get a hold of me on my Discord because it's not I wouldn't say it's not public because it's out there, but I got it on GitHub speaking with GTX. But this guy is pretty cool in my opinion, because once I made that slurry tanker, I thought, well, what am I going to do to get slurry, because slurry goes out so fast, which I'll talk about that as well. Here, let me get this placed. So it's just right here, just under Fermanure. I'll explain that name here. I'll go ahead and grab it, throw it down. So the reason I call it Fermanure is because what it is doing is it actually is working as a fermenter, because we can take grass, wood chips or straw and turn it into silage, and then we can take silage, turn it into manure. So that's why I call it Fermanure. It's kind of a simple name, I guess. And like I said, this tank, I did do an update since I originally did the video. I slowed the application rate down because I couldn't even make it down to one end of the field, and it was using like 10,000 liters, which is, I guess, realistic for the game, but it was a little insane. So I actually slowed it way down. It's only doing a third of the rate, and I also upped the capacity, which again is unrealistic, but 250,000. Again, if you guys are into realistic stuff, unfortunately I don't do a whole lot of realistic mods. I apologize. The whole thing about modding is to make stuff, I guess, insane. Now you can do nice realistic mods, but unfortunately I don't, I guess, have the imagination to do it. I get these crazy ideas. So anyhow, that's where the Fermanure comes from, and this is why I made it, because of the tank. So these icons, what they are is there's actually triggers there, but because of these availability of triggers from the awesome script that GTX and Farmer Andy did, I thought I'm going to throw these little icons down there because I like visual aids. So if you walk onto this, you can see up there in the F1 menu, if you can see it popping up on when I use the Xbox controller, when you walk on there, as I say, Xbox controller, there it goes. So you can hit B to go into the typical menu to actually let you run everything, or you click on your left joystick and it actually turns it on or turns it off. You can see it says left click, turn on silage or grass to silage. And on that note, I thought I'd add actual names in here. This is actually will convert English to German or French as well if you are interested in that. Obviously, if you can understand what I'm saying, you don't need it. But yeah, I put it into the coding once again with help from GTX to explain how parameters work. So it's actually saying grass to silage, straw to silage, wood chips to silage, and you have silage to manure and digestate, manure and water to digestate. And then I actually did a conversion if you want to go digestate back to slurry or slurry into digestate. The reason I did that is, say you have a bunch of cows and you have another production that's making the digestate and you want to merge them so that you can spread it with one spreader, you can convert them that way. So that's a little bit of a rundown of the icons. Again, this is the silage to manure and digestate. It's manure and water to digestate, and it actually shows up there in the F1 menu as well. Digestate to the slurry, slurry to digestate. Now, what I really liked about this script and how I actually contacted GTX to ask about this, and he goes, by the way, I have a script for that, which is awesome, is normally you would come up here and turn this on and all these things would start running, you'd start hearing noise, you'd see stuff flying around. Well, there's no product, so how can you have that going on, right? And that just kind of bothered me. Although I'm not very realistic in the game, I still like some of that to be a little bit, you know, hey, I don't want stuff flying around if there's nothing even there. And the other thing is, you drive by it, hey, that thing's running, so it must be running, right? Well, no, because there's no product in there. Now, the downside to this is if you get stuff in here, start running, and run away from it, come back, it's not running, you throw material back in, it's not just automatically going to turn on. You have to come back over here and toggle it. So I just wanted to give you a heads up there. And again, it'll actually pop up on the screen. It says, hey, you're missing 77 liters of digestate. Now, the reason that one's 7, C7, and this one is, say, 8, is because this guy here is cranking, I forgot how many liters a minute. I have it cranked up to work like a pump because it just wants to transfer, where these are actually producing But the same goes as it needs 8 liters to start. Well, once it hits 8 liters, now if I crank the speed up, which I'll do here in a bit when I make this stuff, it'll take it down to 0. But if the computer's just running at 1 time or half time, it's going to stop at 8 or sometimes above that. So I just wanted to explain that way you guys knew, hey, this thing has to have material to function and it will shut off, so you have to come back and turn it back on. I added some little cool things here as well in these tanks. I can't remember which one's water, oh, that one's water because that's where the water is going to come from, but the digestate and the slurry and the water's got these little red indicators that'll move up and down to kind of give you an indication of where it is. And with a script, it also gives you feedback here of how much material is in the machine. So there's all your liquids over here, some manure, digestate. These green lights will be blinking whenever that line is active. So say we're making digestate from the manure and water, one of those lights will blink, and then if we're going to go from slurry to digestate, the other light will blink. And then the other way around, when we're going digestate to slurry, the slurry is going to blink. Just wanted to give you that heads up. And when we start to straw to silage, that light will blink and one of the lights up top will blink. I think the middle one. So without further ado, we'll go ahead, and I think I explained everything as far as the machine goes. I just want to show you how it works. We're going to just drive this guy over here. Along with the icons, if you're familiar with any of my placeables I've been doing now, I have fuel tanks to fill equipment. I usually have over here. It has a liquid trigger. And then I've got the solid triggers. Obviously, everything can be dumped here, but to pick up, it has to be underneath this pipe. And that's what these two icons are for. And then all your liquids are picked up over here. What I had some issues. Someone had said that they were having issues with auto drive. And the reason I finally figured it out is I have a service trailer with my Fermanure pack that hauls every single product in the game. When you pulled here, there was 2 triggers, and it didn't know what trigger to pull from, so it was causing confusion in the simple trigger system. So that's why I moved these triggers over there. So that's what those are about. We'll go ahead and pull this guy in, and you can unload and load anything that goes into this machine as well. So you can reload the manure if you want to just use manure, and so on. So let's just go into the easy dev, and we're just gonna, I don't have a high speed, so we're gonna set this grass at just 5,000. Or to take forever to unload, and I just want to try to make as quick a video as we can. So there's grass, and we'll go ahead, wood chips. Get rid of those, and straw. So dump that in. We'll go ahead and run this guy out of the way. Jump in the tanker. Go ahead and throw some water. Let's fill unit 3. I'll just go 50,000. Another thing in the update is I did add some little hoses and stuff down here in a hitch, so it will hook up to anything 3-point, low, or regular trailer. So we'll dump that in. I'm thinking about making a trailer to pull behind this, so we'll actually utilize that pipe to be like an overfiller. So now we should have everything we need to run. If I come over here and I simply hit the start running, you'll see the grass is blinking because it's utilizing the grass and the silage. I don't know why I did it that way, because on the other ones I didn't, but oh well. It just shows you the grass is going into the silage. As you see, there's one light blinking there, and the other one up top. If I speed this up, and then you can see there's some smoke coming out of the top as well. And if I don't talk, you can hear sound. If I shut it off, you can hear sound stop. So anyway, that's that. We'll go ahead and speed this up. Well, it actually ran out already. We're at 0. So see, when you speed things up, it seems to go to 0. But if you just let it run at 1, it'll stop at like the, I think 8 liters, right? Yeah. So as you can see, it stopped, and it won't start back up until we put grass back in. We'll go ahead and start the straw. Same thing, you got the straw blinking in the middle one for the silage, and then we'll just go ahead and start the wood chips as well. We'll go ahead and speed this up. We'll see if it actually stops before 0. on the straw, and I'll speed up, that way we're not waiting. Yeah, it stopped at 3. And if I have it at half speed, it'll stop at the 8. But if you speed it up, it takes it all the way to 0. But that was one of the things. I didn't want people going, hey, how come this thing isn't starting up even though there's product in there? And the reason I did that is there's so many cycles. Like I said, if you come in here and go into the menu, this thing's got, what is that, 3.6 million cycles a month. And the script was designed for just 1-to-1 ratio at, say, 10 cycles a minute or something like that. So anyhow, so now we're going to come over here. We're going to turn that silage into manure and digestate. Nothing special here, just the sound again, as you can hear. And we have manure going into this guy, so you have a little bit of steam coming out the top. Now the cool thing is when you get manure running, if we watch down here, it's probably going to be too slow to even notice. I'm trying to remember how to duck down. We'll look at this. I'll speed this up. This manure plane will actually start to come up, even though I'm kind of showing my cheat here. We're not really dumping manure in there yet, but because when we start this up is when all the effects. So again, the reason I wanted to do this script is if I try to hit that, as you can see, even though I'm starting it, nothing's coming out the top of that silo, where with the old script from the in-game production, once you start it up, it would just start running. I don't know if I've done this video a couple times, so I don't know if I've explained. I apologize to that, but that's the main reason I asked GTX if he had any script for that. So now we're going to take the manure and water and turn it into digestate, and this is where all the bells and whistles start happening. So you've got the manure dumping into the plane. You got water over here spraying with some mist. You got this stuff going on, and I did a video on how to make these effects. This is just actually using like a soil effect, but this one actually is manure. I did basically a DDS array video on how to do all that, so it was kind of cool to actually be able to use it here. So yeah, like I said, it was annoying to me that when you would start product up or start a line up, it would just fire up even though there was no product in there actually run. So it was kind of deceiving to me. So that's just about it. I can speed this up, get it running, so I can show you how the digestate transfer works. But I mean, it's pretty simple and straightforward. You know, if you want to turn your digestate into slurry, you just start it up and it's just cranking that digestate over to the slurry. Or like I said, same thing, you want to dump your slurry in here, switch over to digestate, you can see it's going down the other way. So as you can see, it stopped at 49, that's what I was talking about. So it's a little, and it is only at 1 speed, so if I crank this over, I bet you if I speed this up, like so, I didn't even figure this out in testing, yeah, it goes right to 0. So anyway guys, I hope that made some sense. I tried to make it as quick as possible, and I apologize if I repeated some stuff, because like I said, I did this a couple of times. I said I was going to explain something and I forgot to explain. So I wanted to redo it. I wanted to explain the name, and like I said, the biggest thing was explain how these icons work, what they're for. I think it's pretty cool how you can just walk in there and start things up and stop, or go right to the main menu. So that you're able to use. Now this won't work with the, I didn't even mess with it, the mod hub version of, it's like an extendable placeables I think they call it, or it's, I'm not real familiar with what it is, but you could throw like the display boards down here and stuff. That's not going to work with this, because this is actually using a different name for production, so I apologize for that. But yeah, unfortunately that's not going to work if you want to do that. But that's why I guess it's kind of cool, because it has a display there anyway. The only other thing I guess I can show is if we go in and put it to night, we actually have some lights as well, just to show you that, so it will light up a little bit for you. You can kind of see the glow of the icons as well. But again guys, I hope this was either entertaining or information was interesting. I kind of like the script. I think it's pretty cool. Again, if you have any questions on it, feel free to check the link to Discord. It's in my about info on YouTube, or you just go come in here and talk, whatever, like I said, but we can talk about this script because it's public, but it's not. It's on GitHub. But I'm sure if we talk to GTX, he'd be more than willing to pass it along. Again, till next time, guys, have a good one.